Welcome back, everyone, to the Tilt Maverick podcast. I'm Phelan.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Marshall. Today on the podcast, we'll be talking about Magic's brand new set, Zendikar Rising, a little bit about Scalping in the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S pre-order launch, and ending it out with a little bit of thought on Bethesda and Zenimax joining the Microsoft team once again. As a lot of you may have noticed, for the three people who are listening, we are down one member right now. Poor old Dami. Mr. Dimity Dom is wrapped up with schoolwork, and so he couldn't join us tonight. Let him get his schoolwork done and get some rest. But you got the three horsemen here ready to take it on. Let's start it off with talking about what everybody's been up to. Phelan, you want to go first?
Yeah. So, geez, so the past week or two, admittedly, I can't even remember how long it's been since we recorded. That's what's been going on. No, I've just spent a lot of my time with a couple of game collections, specifically a couple. As we talked about in the last podcast, the Super Mario 3D All Stars came out, and I've been enjoying the hell out of it. I actually haven't even touched Sunshine or Galaxy yet, because I've been playing 64, and I think I'm around the 60 Power Star range, somewhere in there. So I'm almost done with the game. I'm still kind of teeter-tottering whether or not I want to go for the full 120. I probably will. Just what I'm thinking about doing is I'll probably get the 70, beat the game, go play Sunshine and Galaxy, and come back to it later and get what I missed. But that's probably what's going to be moving forward. And of course, I plan on going to Sunshine and Galaxy after that because those games are fucking fantastic. Galaxy specifically, God, I love that game.
And the controls apparently look really good for it too in the Switch version.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the controls for all three games really. I've also heard that not necessarily. So the camera's inverted on the collection. So in the 64, or really all three of the games, in the original releases of the game, playing them on original hardware, turning the camera one way, turning the camera left, turns it right, is sort of inverted type thing. They fix, or not necessarily fix that, but they alter that in the All-Stars games, where if you hit left, the camera goes left, and it's not gonna lie, that's been one hell of a hurdle for me to get past, because I'll stop in Mario 64 and I'm like, okay, I gotta turn the camera. And I have a momentary pause, like a second or a split second of which way do I flick the C stick? And I'll flick it in one direction just for it to be wrong, and I'm like, ah, damn it.
They didn't give us the option to change it, which is annoying.
That definitely needs to be patched in as a toggle for sure.
Because
it's been driving my brother, specifically my sister, absolutely fucking insane, because they've been playing Sunshine, and that was a game that all three of us played like fucking bananas as kids. So it's been driving them insane, trying to adjust to the camera. I'm sure it's going to happen with me as well, but we'll jump that hurdle when we get there.
If you play flight sims, you won't have an issue.
Oh yeah, for sure. But otherwise, I've been continuing my Halo marathon with my girlfriend. We beat Halo 2 Anniversary a couple weeks ago, and we got started on Halo Reach. We're just about done with that one, actually. Haven't decided if we're going to go to Halo 3 or 3 ODST afterwards. We'll see.
ODST if you go chronological order.
That's what I was thinking. But I was like, I've also already played that game this year, and I know you. We're gearing up to do a LASO run on that eventually. So I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna play it again with her eventually anyway. Yeah, getting whatever, man. we're gonna play it again with her eventually anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter because it's a fucking damn good game. But other than that, I started Mega Man ZX like I said I would last week or on last episode, and goddamn, that game is good. If you like Metroidvanias and you like Mega Man, it's literally a Mega Man Metroidvania. It's not perfect by any means. Like, it's not going to give like Metroid or Symphony of the Night a run for its money anytime soon. But I've been enjoying the hell out of it. The music, as always, is fucking just a banging OST. Like,
Yeah,
that
it
shit
is.
fucks, dude. Like, goddamn. That's what I've been up to. I've just been chilling out, playing some games. Bought the last few cards for my commander deck, so those will be coming in soon. That's all I really got. Besides that, it's just been working. So, what about you, Josh? What have you been up to?
Working, and then magic, and some more magic. uh, yeah, I mean, that's about it. Been watching a lot of anime, been killing some series, getting caught back up on one or two that I kind of forgot about, and they actually had quite a few seasons drop for, so I'm catching up on those.
What are some of them
And
that you've been watching?
there's one called Strike the Blood. It came out back when I was in high school, and I watched like the two OVAs that came out after the first season had ended, but I never realized it had more. But it had another set of 8 OVAs that came out, and then there's like a whole nother seasons, or like 2 seasons still. So I'm like 2 episodes into season 3 right now, and season 4 is currently going on. They're like 4 episodes into that, so I'm rushing to catch up on that.
Nice. Yeah, we need to catch up on a few when I come back.
Yeah, but besides that, like I said, a lot of magic. I started a co-op playthrough of Divinity Original Sin 2 with one of my good buddies. Been playing that a lot on the weekends with him, just playing through the campaign. We downloaded some custom classes to make the game a little more interesting, but it's been fun.
Nice.
Besides that, like I said, magic. Bought a booster box for Zendikar Rising. I'll go back into the more of that later for my topic, but that was a lot of fun to crack open. It's one of my favorite things to do now as an adult with disposable income is buy at least one booster box for every new set that comes out, because back when I was in high school I couldn't do that for Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think the closest I ever got to that was buying like some of the $40, $50 like bundles that they'd put out.
Yeah,
the
something
fat
like,
packs.
like premium gold.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I bought one set of premium gold, but that's like the closest I ever got. But you might find this interesting, Marshall. Guess what's on the way? It's
What's
something
that?
we talked about earlier today.
Oh no.
Yes.
Lube?
Oh no!
Lube for what's going to happen when I come down to visit next weekend, or it's going to be Monday. Oh, I'll talk about that. Oh no.
I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told Phelan. Y'all better get ready for me to ninjutsu y'all's asses.
Oh shit. Oh, you decided on ninjas?
Ninjas are on the way.
Oh my god, that's gonna be
Straight up just bought
insane.
that shit. So we got together like an hour or two before the podcast started, just for clarity, everybody. And me and Josh were talking about it. He's like, oh yeah, there's ninjas that do this really cool shit. And it was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. He goes on eBay and he's like, hey, this guy's selling the whole deck. So he bought it.
It was on sale and on discount, and I did some quick price lookups to make sure I wasn't jipping myself on money. So it was actually a really good deal to get a functioning deck in, just so I can start playing with it, and then I'm just gonna upgrade it over time to where I actually want it to be. But I got the whole 100 card deck. It was like $60, no shipping.
Damn, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, and there's like one $20 card in it, a couple like $5-$6 cards, and I wasn't really losing any money to buy it, so I was like, sure, why not?
Man, I'm envious of like how much you have now. Like I want to buy cards, but it's like I have nobody to play with up here, so I haven't really invested. I've been buying video games instead, but when I get back there, My wife's gonna hate both of us because we're gonna have a room dedicated to fucking cards.
Yeah, y'all aren't gonna have a dinner table.
Yeah. It's like I told Phelan earlier, the commander deck that I already have it made, it's really strong and it's really good and I love playing it. But it's the kind of deck that if I played it every time, I wouldn't get to play it anymore because people would just be like, nah.
Target
So-
his ass.
That's the
Yeah.
problem I had in high school. I had the same problem with my slivers, and yeah.
So I'm making something that's cool and it'll be interesting and different. So that way I can switch between them. And I'm sure down the road I'll probably just go ahead and get a third commander deck because I really want to get into CDEH, which is like the competitive commander. But it's really expensive, so that's something for further down the line.
You don't plan to go into competitive 60, do you?
Competitive 60. I'm looking at a rogue deck for standard, so I might do competitive standard. I want to get into historic, but historic's really expensive too to get into. It's honestly more expensive because you have to buy multiple copies of a lot of cards.
Yeah, I just want to know if I'm going to be able to build at least a commander or a 60 that I won't get my ass handed to me without being cheap.
I mean, all I'm gonna say is this: I love optimization in all things. It's part of the reason I love MMO and like grindy games. I love minimaxing and shit. So it's hard for me to play any deck without trying to take it as far as I possibly can.
See,
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm actually the same way. So like, you guys have seen, like, I've got like a shit ton of Pokemon trading card game decks, and that's actually probably something I should talk about on the show here at some point. But yeah, I've got like what 8 or 7 decks. None of them are, I should say, at least only one of them I really consider a main deck. But the rest of them I build up in such a way that it's like, if I ever wanted to bust it out at a tournament, I could at least like get the end goal that I desire with the deck, or I can get the play that I want most of the time. So I don't know. I think card games are really good with that. Just to have that little tidbit there.
No, for Pokemon, since you brought it up, my Pokemon deck is almost done.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, I decided to build one a few weeks ago because Phelan's been kind enough to start working on building Magic decks to play with me, and I didn't just want to keep borrowing his Pokemon decks. So I'm building the Eternatus VMAX deck. I'm currently waiting on my last 3 cards, and it will be complete. So I'm pretty excited for that, actually, get to try that out.
Yeah, no, I find it funny how like I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy more Magic cards. I'm gonna get into this, but I'm like, I'm gonna build Arcades the Strategist because it's cool, but also a little cheap. And then Josh's like, all right, I'll play some Pokemon. Yeah, I'll build the best deck in the game. And I was like, oh, cool. Which to be fair, Pokemon prices versus Magic prices are vastly different.
Yes.
Like the best deck in Pokemon, what did you spend? Like maybe around 200, 250, something like that?
Pokemon?
Yeah.
160 after
Once-
taxes. After
Boom.
taxes and shipping for the whole deck.
Now, granted, you have like some heavily played and stuff in there too, right?
Nope.
No? Wow.
Pokemon is dirt fucking cheap.
All right, well, see, there you go. So yeah, like I'm spending that's close to about what I spent on Arcades, I think, because I was okay with getting like damaged or heavily played cards. I was like somewhere in that like $160 to $200 range, and I was like buying it piece by piece, and I was like, bro, the
Yeah,
disparity between it is just funny to me.
yeah. I mean, I have 2 cards, which granted, this is because they're both like full art foils and rares in the deck, but I have 2 cards alone that get close to $400 when you put them together. So
Yeah, I think in my Pokemon collection, I think the most expensive card I have is like $55, I think. And it's like base set 2 Charizard.
yeah.
It's not even like, it's like whatever, it's base set 2, you bitch. Like
But yeah. I mean, my main commander deck that I have already pretty much built right now, it's Kalia the Vast. Probably the deck's around already $600 to $700. Actually, that's not even counting those 2 cards that I just mentioned. So probably more around 800 at least.
It ramps up quickly, man.
Eh,
I want to invest in cards like I used to and like you guys do. I have too many other addictions that I have my hands in. Like if my video game, my comic book, and my movie addiction wasn't so bad, I might be at least able to keep up with you two. But it's just I had to get rid of.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. Recently, I had to get rid of my video game. Well, most of my video game collection. So that's where most of my money has been going for extra stuff to start rebuilding that. So soon I'll have.
Do you remember when you did that? And I said, well, now you're going to have to start over from scratch. And your exact words were, no, I'm never going to have a video game collection again. I'm just going to get a few of the games that I really like, and that'll be it.
I knew this shit would happen, man. He said that, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, when you said that to me, I said, okay.
I couldn't stay away, man, and because there's so many games out there. Given that most of the games I've been buying are games I'd never played or beaten.
I cannot remember the last video game that I bought. That's what I was going to say earlier. I really don't. Actually, I do, but it doesn't count. It was like Among Us for $3. And but I'm talking about a game for like collecting purposes or whatever. I don't know. It just it's been a really bad time to video game shop, so I just haven't really had my hands in the hole.
Oh, Josh doesn't know yet. He didn't. I don't think I sent him the picture.
I was about to say. I know you've got some acquisition. So why don't you tell us what your week's been like, man?
Josh, I'm going to be bringing close to 200 video games home that I didn't come up here with.
Yeah, I already saw the picture.
So yeah, no. So the picture you sent me, I showed him. But apparently you've added to it since then.
I've added another 40.
Fucking damn.
I'm finding deals like crazy around here, dude. Facebook Marketplace is flooding. There's a couple really good retro stores that are like an hour away, and just people have been willing to do trades. So I've been getting a lot of my stuff for very little money. Like I've gotten consoles for literally less than $10. Like I got a PS1, a PS2, I now have every Sony console again. Somehow, I got my PS1 back.
You got a Vita?
No, I don't have a Vita yet. I have every console.
I knew it.
I have every console, not handheld. But yeah, I've just been carefully browsing and looking up trades. And then also there's this thing that you can do. You can do surveys online to get credit for Amazon, eBay, or whatnot. So I've been doing that for the higher end collectibles. Plus I get a little bit of an allowance, I get a little bit that I can spend on myself. That I've just recently got into the Dark Knight Metal series, so I have that whole series that I've been getting into. Just completed the Arkham collection, so now I have all the Arkham games. Just recently beat Arkham Asylum, about to go through Arkham City. Finished out my Resident Evil PS4 collection, so I now have the official initial release minus collector's editions and stuff of Resident Evil 0 through 6 on PS4, all physical. I'm missing 2 for PS3, but I just got the only physical copy of Resident Evil Remake on PS3, which was a Japanese only release. But it's really cool because it's Biohazard, but it actually came with 2 manuals because it has the English subtitles. So it has a Resident Evil manual and a Resident Evil cover art and a Resident Evil but it says Biohazard on the discs, but you can play it in English or Japanese. So it's a Japanese exclusive, only way you could get that game physically, but it has the American stuff packaged in with it. So I'm like, holy shit. And then I'm about to pick up Sweet Home. I'm working on a deal for Sweet Home. So that means I will have, except for Outbreak series, Dead Aim and Silence and Gaiden, I'll have every Resident Evil game. And then I recently got to appear on an old podcast that I started. Got to do that last night. That was really fun. Got to shout out our group here, the Tote Mavericks. I got to mention to that audience. So hopefully if anybody is here from the Game Tenants, hello. Welcome to the podcast. And
you might as well give a shout out to them in return. We might as well.
Yeah, Game Tenants Podcast is a podcast that me and my buddy Church, or the Game Grinder, as he's most commonly known in the Cartridge Club and a lot of the other communities that we're a part of. They are a retro podcast, or not a retro podcast. They're a gaming podcast where Church and Corpse Flight Gaming basically talk about video game news, video game memories, basically anything they're interested in. They've had the podcast going for a few years now. Really cool guys, very close friends of mine, and hopefully you'll get to see some of them. Maybe I can even talk them into coming in on here. I know Corpseflight just finished Marvel Infinite. He wasn't the biggest fan of that, but yeah, maybe they might show up around here and we can do a little cross episode. Who knows? But definitely. And then outside of that, I relaunched my new brand for my gaming channel called the Pixel Massacre, which is going to be me talking about video games, comic books, movies, anime, video games, of course, but it's going to have a very horror-centered theme. So, of course, Castlevania's, Resident Evil's, Outlast. I've just gotten to a new MMO, or I've gotten into another MMO, Secret World. Anything horror or gory or anything kind of related, because that's basically my niche. That's
the shtick.
Yeah, it's just something I've always been obsessed with, and I kind of strayed away from that over the last 5 to 6 years, kind of soul searching, and now I'm going back to my roots. So back to my horror roots, considering I halfway look like a boomer anyways, and not the old boomer. Look like a boomer from Left 4 Dead 2. But
I somehow put both of those references together in my mind at the same time and didn't realize it. You said that and I was just like, yeah. And then you elaborated. I was like, oh wait, I was literally just thinking that.
But no, it's definitely, speaking of Left 4 Dead, I'm going to be kind of cutting down on just the basic playthroughs of single games. I'm going to be doing more first look stuff, but I do plan on doing some series over there, including I'd like to do some horror co-op games in terms of doing a Left 4 Dead run, or doing Resident Evil Revelations, stuff like that, based around horror games. So it's going to be a fun time, but I'm really excited about that. And then trying to figure out, me and Panda, my wife, just beat Apocalypse mode on Minecraft Dungeons. We just finished the Jungle DLC, and we just beat the first level of the Winter DLC. So we have the last one to finish tonight, and then we're going to go back to Halo. We're in the middle of Halo 1 right after the Silent Cartographer. So
fun.
We were playing Halo, but then the DLC dropped for Dungeons, so we went back to that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. It's a whole lot, and just trying to keep my sanity while we're stuck here in this small thing, and then trying to figure out where we're going to go from here, whether we get to go home or we got to go somewhere else. So far we have no clue.
Action-packed week.
Yeah, it's not been bad, but I want to hear more about Magic, because Zendikar is a set that I actually really enjoyed when it first released. And I know, Josh, you wanted to talk about Zendikar Rising, which is the new set you just got a booster box for. So let's go ahead and head into that topic.
Yeah, so, Zendikar, I know you know what it is, Marshall, since, like you said, you were there for some of the original ones.
Mm-hmm.
But Zendikar is a very, land mana-based set, because the way the plane of Zendikar works is it's supposed to be an unstable plane with constantly changing mana and stuff. So we always get crazy stuff when it comes around. We got lots of cards with landfall, the landfall ability, which is special abilities that triggers anytime lands enter the battlefield. I'm sure you're familiar with that one, Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
The cool part about this set that I like is they put in these flip cards. So both sides of them do something. So a lot of them, or pretty much all of them actually, are lands. and it's either they put in these new dual-sided lands that can be one of either color. Could be like a plains on one side, a swamp on the other, or so and so, or like a mountain and a forest. And how they work is when it's in your hand, before you play it, you choose which side you want to play. So you can put it down and say, this is coming in as a mountain, or this is coming in as a forest. And you just get that land of that color. So it's a really cool new thing, and it came in at a good time because we just lost our shack lands, which are dual lands. So it's really helpful to have for all the multicolored decks that people are playing. And they also put in uh, a newer version of it, or not really a newer version, but they have like spell lands. So like one side's a spell, and then one side's a land, which is pretty cool. Do you have something, Phelan?
Yeah, so I really, and we were talking about this the other day when we were hanging out. I think the really cool feature about this, or the whole idea behind it, is that like with a card actually being two things in one, keep in mind you can only really pick one of those things, and once you put it on the field, like that's it. So the cool thing about it is that like, oh well, in this situation, I need like a plains. I draw that. I'm like, okay, well, this is a plains and a swamp. This is what I need it to be. So that's what that's what I'm gonna do. Like it it gives you more options out of one card, which is kind of it's kind of a cool and unique feature on like how that works. It's like this is exactly what I need, so I'm not going to use the other side because the other side's got what I need. That's
Yeah.
like it's just a cool dynamic. I think as simple as it is.
Yeah, that's the whole concept of them is it's what do I need right now. So like a lot of the spells on one side, lands on the other are really helpful because you can run a whole bunch of them that are like cheaper spells with lands on the back or more expensive spells with lands on the back, and you play it based on what you need. If you draw something that cost, I don't know, like 6 to cast, and it's the start of the game, obviously that's not going to be useful to you for a long time. But at the back of it's just a land, then you can go ahead and just drop that for the land right there, and so that card is still useful. It really cuts down on dead draws with cards. And a lot of the spells, if we're being perfectly honest, they're kind of sucky. Like, none of them are that amazing, but they get away with it because they have lands on the other side. So if it's not useful to you in that moment, or it's not helpful, just play it for the land. So I'm honestly liking it a lot. I've been playing a lot of MTG Arena. I've been having a lot of fun on there with a rogue deck that came out, downloaded that, and we've been slowly changing it around, me and my buddy, and doing what we want to it, and been enjoying it a lot. Like Marshall said, I bought a booster box and I opened it up. I got some pretty good pulls. I got a full art Jace Planeswalker. I got a Nahiri Planeswalker. I got a couple of the dual flip lands, and that's nice. I actually got some of the rogues if I want to build that rogue deck IRL, which I'm really considering doing to make my standard deck. So, I don't know, it's just a really good set, honestly. Like, Core 21 came out not that long ago, but core sets don't ever really add anything interesting to the game. It's more about reprinting cards we need and just bringing stuff in, so I'm really excited to finally have this set, because also with this set came our yearly rotation for Magic, which is a godsend. If you don't keep up with Standard Magic has been in a, let's just say, not a good spot for about 2 years, I want to say. War of the Spark is where it really started to go downhill for Standard and Magic. And it's not quite there. I showed Phelan the best deck in the game in that hour before we got on here.
Yeah, that was fucking bonkers.
They broke the game immediately, Marshall, with this set, with a lot of the cards they put out.
Ooh.
The best set in the game. It's called like 4-color Alnath, and it just it's insane to try to deal with. It uses this card called Locust Cobra, which every time you play a land, it has a landfall trigger that you get to choose a mana of any color you want. So you play it in the biggest green deck that has insane land ramp abilities, along with cards like Uro and Omnath, and cards that let you drop double lands. you just get to going crazy because you're constantly making yourself mana every time you're dropping those lands. You're playing cards like Cultivate and whatnot, and you're just putting more lands out on the field, which is in turn triggering the Locust Cobra again, so you're getting even more mana.
It's mana flood from like back in set 4.
Yeah, it's basically, but it's crazy to deal with, and we already have a banned list being announced on this coming Monday for the set. So
I have a question about it though.
What's up?
The cool thing about the cards is it reminds me of like older sets, the transform cards, where it's like you can flip it, like you cast it and then you can flip it, but this you have to choose one or the other. This reminds me of like the World of Warcraft trading card game, where you either use it as a quest and you actually use the ability, or you use it as mana. And so that's actually, I think, a really cool idea. But do these count as not the spell ones, but the one that have 2 lands? Are they considered basic lands, or is it just a land?
No, they are not basic lands.
Okay, so it's if you lay it and you say you want it to be a mountain, it's not going to be a basic mountain. So it can be targeted by stuff that targets non-basic lands.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. That's why I didn't know. I haven't seen those cards yet, so I didn't know.
Yeah. No, you can't search any of them out with like fetch lands and whatnot. So that's kind of how they balance them out a little bit to help make them better. And then a lot of them have, a lot of the spell ones at least, they either come in tapped, or there's some out there that have, you can pay 3 life and the land side comes in untapped. So they do that to balance it out a little bit so far. It takes getting used to, because having shock lands in standard makes your life so easy. You just pay 2 life and you get a land that's 2 colors. So you don't ever have to worry about anything. Like, these flip lands require a little bit more forethought and strategy to use, which I actually really like. I think once the best deck in the game gets tackled and dealt with some, we'll be able to really see how standard's going to change and evolve, which I'm excited for. Because the top deck has been the top deck for a while now. Uro won't go away. I hope he dies. I hate him.
We pray to the ban list coming this Monday.
We'll see.
It would make it a little cheaper to buy too.
Yeah. But I'm excited so far. Like I said, rogues are really good, and I'm really leaning towards a rogue set. Which, I also didn't bring up. This was the set that came out with like the D&D theme, so it's got all these party cards in it that give you abilities. If you have, a warrior, a cleric, a wizard, and a rogue, you get abilities for all of those guys, which is really cool. Sadly, the party mechanic doesn't seem that good. No one's really figured out how to actually do it and have it be consistent and work well. So everyone's kind of broken off because there's mono rogues, mono wizards, mono clerics. Like, they just gave so many good cards for each of those archetypes. It's way easier just to go mono into them than it is to try to build to the party mechanic. But still, it's a cool concept, and I hope they figure out something with it. I will say I've seen the buddings of some really interesting looking party commander decks that might actually be viable and seem pretty cool. So I definitely have my eye on those.
So I was actually about to bring up the party mechanic myself, like literally right before you did. But yeah, no, it's a super cool idea, and it is a shame that currently it's kind of floating in limbo right now while people figure out strategies. But like I said, I think the concept is super cool. Like getting a bunch of different creature types together and then having them kind of feed off of each other. Like, it's a super cool idea. But I also like that it's done in such a way that you can just go, oh, I want to do rogues only, or I want to do clerics only, or this, that, the other. Like, I think supporting both play styles is super cool. So I admit, personally, I'm really excited to see what comes of that. Do you think that like in future sets they're gonna keep adding cards with party, or is that just strictly for this set?
They definitely can always come back around again. The way Magic usually does sets with like that with their special mechanics is those mechanics like get more cards. I mean, they get more cards here and there through special sets and like commander sets and whatnot. But for most of them, how they do it is it comes back around when that set comes back around. So like this is Zendikar Rising. Obviously, we've been to Zendikar multiple times in the game, so that's why Landfall's coming back, because that's an older one. So probably the next time Zendikar comes around again is when the party mechanic will like end up with a lot more new stuff in it. Or they could add it to other things. I mean, sometimes they do that, but most of the time that's usually the formula they kind of follow.
So is Zendikar is going to be a brand new set with the reset of 2021? Like, do you think we're going to end up seeing, like, what kind of sets are you hoping to see come after this? Like,
I can't think of it off the top
mechanic, you know, they like. It sounds like a really cool idea, and they could potentially make twin-headed behemoth games freaking amazing, especially with a party mechanic that actually functions right. Like, what would you like to see come of that if they move forward with it?
Or a party mechanic specifically?
Yeah, that seems to be what the theme, like the I don't want to say gimmick because it's like the last set, the set before 2021, was like mutate was a big thing, and then the Godzilla thing, that was like the Titan monsters and stuff like that. That was kind of like the gimmick of the last set, and this set seems to be the D&D stuff. Like, and I know all of us are pretty, you know, we at least like that genre, if not our D&D fans ourselves. Like, what would you like to see them do with that in the future?
Honestly, just make it easier to actually get the party mechanic going, probably, and make it a little more useful, because a lot of the party mechanic abilities aren't, I mean, they're not bad, but they're not strong enough really to support the idea of the hassle you have to go through to make it work. Because they put a few of each of those classes in each color, but like the best of ones are pretty blocked off in their colors, so it makes it hard to run a good party deck when you have to be like 5 colors.
It seems like it would have to have its own kind of structured play for it, kind of thing. Like, instead of like you'd have commander, you'd have standard, then it would need like its own dedicated kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would be actually really cool if a new game mode came out of it. That would be pretty awesome, actually.
So to kind of branch off like my answer to that question, because that is is a pretty interesting question, Marshall. Though I'm not going to take this in a mechanics way, just more of like a future idea for sets type of way. So you mentioned the Godzilla crossover. You mentioned the D&D inspiration for Zendikar Rising.
Mm-hmm.
I know I had this conversation with Josh one of the last times we hung out. And it's a crossover I would absolutely love to see in this game, and it would probably get me to spend money on it ASAP. I would love to see a Magic the Gathering set crossover with the Elder Scrolls.
Oh, hands down, would be done.
It's perfect, man. Like, I would love to see it, man. You get like black, red fucking Daedra decks. You could have like a deck with the Aedra, and it's just like all white or something. There's so much you could do with the Elder Scrolls IP in a card game like that. I think it would be so cool.
It would definitely I mean, yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be way cooler than the crossover that they have that's about to come out now. I've already complained to Phelan about this.
Right.
So they got everyone excited with this D&D crossover. It's really cool. It's really hype, and it makes a lot of sense because, you know, Wizards D&D.
Exactly.
They took over D&D a long time ago, so it's really cool. Also, they made, this is going off topic from this, but fucking Wizards, them bastards, made special copies of a Planeswalker only for in the company to the people that actually work in D&D. The Planeswalker is called the Dungeon Master.
Oh, yo, that's awesome. Actually really cool.
It basically, what the card lets you do is like pull out a full party for its like plus abilities and shit. It's awesome, and I hate that they only made, like, they just made it as a gift to in the company. Because I would love if they printed that card. But they announced that, so that's cool. Everyone's interested. It's exciting. And then they announced a Walking Dead crossover.
I'm okay with this.
No.
I love. Okay, I was just talking to you about making vampires or zombies. I used to, back when vampires, they weren't just being introduced, but when they started becoming more mainstream, right before Mirrodin hit, it was more like around the spirits of Kamigawa and stuff like that. When Quest for the Millstone and stuff was still a huge thing. Like, I always ran like zombies or vampires. So zombie crossover, yes, please. I'm okay with it.
I'm gonna burst your bubble a little bit here. It's not like a set crossover. It's gonna be like a couple, I forget, like 5 to 10, I think, special cosmetic cards that are Walking Dead themed. Like there's a Walking Dead zombie token that was leaked. So it's in the same theme, of like the super special Godzilla card, like the Godzilla cards where they just slap them over existing cards.
Damn.
But they're, yeah. And it's like
there's
over $100 and something for the set. I forget what it is. Yeah, exactly. So it's I don't know. It's a really
comics.
It's a really shitty crossover in my opinion.
Oh damn!
Like that just doesn't match with the Magic universe at all. Like at least with Godzilla, it's like giant fucking monsters stomping around, blowing shit up. Even if like the Mecha Godzilla was a little bit of a stretch, but like
it kind of works.
Yeah,
but
Walking Dead doesn't really have anything to offer. I feel like to a Magic universe, like Fairwood with him wanting Elder Scrolls. I mean, yeah, they could do that. They could fucking just have a Planeswalker accidentally tear into the Elder Scrolls universe, and there you go. But I don't know, you couldn't really do that with Walking Dead unless it's like, they're on Earth. We have guns now. I don't know. It's just, That's about the reaction from the Magic community is, I mean, if you like it, good for you, I guess. Buy yourself the tokens and the cards. Awesome. I just feel like it's a waste of a product.
I'm actually, now that you mentioned what it is, I agree. Like, if they were going to do anything like that, I would have rather them gone with like the Romero zombies, or like even like, well, not Call of Duty zombies, but like the Romero style zombies at least could have meshed in with it, or like the original like Dracula zombies during like White Zombie, or like the old movie style zombies would have meshed so much better. But
it's just like, that's the kind of thing I could see someone just paying someone on Etsy to paint them a custom card of, which that's cool or whatever. There's some really fucking cool custom cards out there. And I love custom art cards. I thought about buying a few to put into some of my funner decks.
But I actually thought about getting us both the pet ones. You can go on Etsy and get your pet made into a Magic card.
Tilt map custom cards win.
Oh yeah, stuff like that's cool. Especially if it's just like over an existing card and like all the wording's same so you can play it easy. I mean, if I was in a tournament, I might say something to someone, but definitely if I was ever playing in a casual setting, if you bring out your deck with custom cards, I think that's actually pretty fucking cool.
Oh yeah, like now that you talk about crossovers, it's like this. I wouldn't care if it's covers or if they actually made functioning cards. And with the new D&D stuff, they can. Either the Hunter's Blade or the Neverwinter sets would be epic as cards. Mazin Drizzt, the Dark Elf, just the trilogy there, all the cards that we could potentially have for elves and like either black and green there. That would be so freaking amazing.
Oh yeah.
If you guys are familiar with those sets or series.
Definitely. I mean, that's most of what I want to talk about Zendikar Rising. I'm waiting for a few cards go into circulation a little bit more. I'm going to start buying for singles. Because, you know, when sets first come out, cards get really expensive.
So expensive.
People open shitloads of boosters. They get all the big cards that people want, especially for, like, the best deck, like the Omnath and that Cobra and whatnot. So they're going to be pretty expensive. It leads to the fucking card scalping and all that, which kind of goes into what you wanted to talk about in general, Marshall, going on. I think it was more on the video game world. It's just scalping in general and the unethical. Holy shit! Just
the unethical
the lack
practice.
the unethical practice of making a false scarcity of items so you can run up the price for just a little bit of profit. The hustle, as people call it.
Oh my god.
So why don't you go ahead and take on over here?
Okay, so if anyone's listened to the last podcast, I ranted on it a little bit. Scalping has been a problem for like the last decade, like crazy. Everybody remembers the amiibo craze. People were buying them up, selling them online. And now,
you're just giving me flashbacks here.
I know, right? Just trying to find anything like that. And then
Smash
the mini
Brothers
consoles.
Rosalina.
That's one of my prized amiibo. Sorry, Marshall.
No, you're good.
I remember that amiibo. Like I remember that day clear as day. I was working actually as a maintenance worker at a golf course, so mowing the grass, taking care of the golf course, fucking raking sand. The shit you do when you're in high school and you get your first summer job. Yeah. I mean, it paid really well. I got my fucking PS4, bought it all myself with after a month of working there. So, I remember I was out on one of the golf courses doing the edging for the field, for that lane or whatever, and I get a text from Phelan, and he's like, Rosalina amiibo is up. I forget where it was. Do you remember where you ordered it from, Phelan?
I think it was GameStop?
Is it a GameStop or Best Buy, I want to say?
One of the two. And
I was like there, I didn't have my wallet, and I remember texting Phelan, he was like, do you want it? And I was like, yes, please. And Phelan got it for me, he pre-ordered it. And I was so happy, because that amiibo was immediately sold out, and then immediately fucking skyrocketed in price and was almost impossible to find.
For a very long time, it was impossible to find. And one last thing about this before, sorry, Marshall, we opened it up and immediately stole the show. But
no, you guys know the amiibo. You know the amiibo scalping. I know the other side of it. So
we know video game scalping too. But
I was working retail when the scalping started. I was working at GameStop when the amiibo stuff was going on.
It reminds me also of there was some guy. He hated Rosalina as a character so much
to bring this guy up.
that he bought a shit ton of those amiibos just so Rosalina fans couldn't have them. It was just like, bro, what the fuck?
Okay,
like,
that's
son
funny.
of a bitch.
That's funny.
In hindsight, it's funny, but at the time, me and Josh were like, "You motherfucker!" Still to this day don't even have this amiibo, man. Like,
not only did he buy them all, Marshall, he destroyed them all.
He was the PS3 guy. Oh my god, that is amazing. So
stupid. Anyway, go on.
As you can tell, scalping's been a problem since Amiibo. It's before Amiibo. It's been a thing since literally the 90s, but never to this degree. Once the mini consoles got announced and they started saying that they were limited, the whole thing is the stupid word limited. The word limited caused shit to go wrong in the wiring of people's brains to where literally stores were being swarmed, websites were being crashed when the mini consoles released. Well, Amiibo too, but the mini consoles. Like I said, it took me, it's been almost a year since the Turbo Mini came out, right? Just about
something like that.
It took me over a year, and I still had to pay a scalper. I did the Cardinal Sin, and I paid a scalper, and I sent him a very strong email. Once I get home and I open it and I play my first game, I'm gonna send him a very pissed off email. But anyways, I would be like, "Thank you for selling this to me, but you're a scummy piece of shit." Now, because now I have his direct email contact, so I can contact him directly. So this is gonna be a good one because he has 12 of them. Anyways, but. The mini consoles came out. They were limited. Scalpers went up, bought them up immediately. Once they released, they were going on eBay for like 500, 600, 700.
I remember being at the height of this one as well. this being around the time, this really started like with the NES Classic.
Yep.
Nintendo was like, we're kind of between the Wii U and the Switch, and we need some revenue, so that they shut that thing out. I say shut. It's a great little thing. It's a great micro console, and I love it to death. Same for the Super Nintendo Classic. But yeah, that first stock of them, so limited, dude. I missed out, and I was upset because like they retailed for like what, like $60, and then like the minimum you were looking at on the secondhand market was like 200.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, man, like I'm never gonna get one of these things.
And the thing is like the games, like the Super Nintendo Classic, I can understand there wasn't even really anything super rare on the NES Classic. Very easy to get. The Super Nintendo Classic had an unreleased game, had Earthbound, it had a couple of the higher price games. The TurboGrafx Mini, a couple Final Fantasies that are harder to get. Mega Man, which is going up in price again. I think Mega Man X is up to like 35, I think. But it was getting kind of bad there. Then the TurboGrafx happens. Some of the rarest games ever on the console, an obscure console to say the least either way, whether it's Japanese or American. The pre-orders sold out, and the pre-orders were being sold on eBay. I'll give, and so I'm like, are you kidding me? You don't even have the consoles. That's violating eBay's shit. So that's when eBay pre-orders started going up for sale. And Phelan, you have a comment on this one before I go into the PS4 and PS5 and Xbox Series X rant. Go ahead.
I was actually about to say, because we've been talking all this mess about scalping, and we haven't really mentioned like the so what, the why we're talking about this. So the reason this comes up as a topic today for us is that this has come to a very, very stressful impasse, for lack of a better term, because scalping is just run rampant even more so recently. We saw that recently with pre-orders for the Super Mario 3D All-Stars. They were kind of going insane. I checked eBay prices just now, actually, and I think people have figured out that stores have actually had a pretty decent amount of copies of that game.
Oh yeah, there's still 30 at the Walmart up the street.
Yeah, I've not seen any brick and mortar store sell out at all. Online retailers sold out before the game even came out, which was added to that scare a little bit, but that's come down a little bit. But the really big ones nowadays is pre-orders for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. I shit you not, people went out and pre-ordered these things en masse, and it started selling pre-orders online. And actually, there's also, I can't remember, there was some graphics card that came out as well that's suffering the same problem.
GTX, in fact, even 380.
Yeah, the GTX, dude, and it's having it way worse than the PS5 and the Xbox One is.
That's like, I was just about to lead into it.
Yeah, at least Sony and Microsoft are like, kind of being a little smart about it and making sure that people can't get like a shit ton of them, or that they can't get hit by bots. Nah, this fucking graphics card keeps getting bought up by bots. Like, actual people cannot buy these because the bots are beating them to it.
Yeah,
so things have hit like a critical impact moment right now, and it's just become a real sour spot. Do you have any more thoughts on that, man?
Oh yeah, no. That's what was the reason I was bringing up the TurboGrafx, because that was the first pre-orders that were going up on eBay. Now you get around to the PS5 and the Xbox One. First off, PlayStation mocked it up and said, "Oh yeah, we're going to let you know when it's pre-orders and give you plenty of time to get ready." Hey, here it is, and gone.
Oh yeah, they did straight up just like, yeah, today.
Second launch for pre-orders gone. And the thing is you didn't have to pay for it up front. I actually got a PS5 pre-order on Amazon, and I was one of the few to get one. And every time they went up, it was like they went sold out faster and faster and faster. More and more bots were getting registered, and then stores were getting bought out. It's like people were pre-ordering at the stores once the store ones for the Xbox Series S, the PS5 went out. And these pre-orders, these consoles are going to be releasing at $500. These pre-orders, not even a physical, anything physical, is being sold. Just a promise that you're getting this is being sold for $999, and a piece of paper with a PlayStation 5 picture sold for over $1,000. That's how stupid this has gotten. And the biggest thing about this is, luckily, there is a resolve here, and I found out about it today. I'm very excited about it. It's the way they need to do it. The thing is this isn't a limited edition console. This isn't going to be limited. If everybody waits, everybody's going to get their hands on this console because retailers are going to get it. It's going to be no problem if everybody just waits. But there are people that are feeding into this shit, and they're paying that $1,000 just because they want to be one of the first ones to buy the console. But luckily, out of all this stupidity, out of all this chaos, GameStop, for one, is, and I think other retailers are doing it the same, is they are giving certain numbers of stores certain amounts of pre-orders that they can do, and they're having a special way to go about it. You can't pre-order it online through them. You have to physically go to the store, have your driver's license, and I think it is only one per household, so the wife, the kids can't come in and all pre-order one. It has to be for them. Or you can only pre-order one, and you can only have it one under your stuff at all locations. So you can't go to a second GameStop and pre-order another one. You can only pre-order one at one location, and you're locked in there. And I think that is a great first step into this to prevent this kind of thing. I think it's going to help fix the problem. What I wish they would do with the online stuff is they somehow lock it to where bots, you have to have like one of those automated things. Like if you pre-order this, you have to do a capture or something, so a bot can't do it.
Lock, yeah.
Or if, I know we're probably not going to see this, but if they buy this, somehow it locks the console to their credit card or something. However they're paying, that console is locked to that credit card or what?
Lock it to billing address.
Yeah, lock it to a billing address or a shipping address, wherever they have it shipped, and that will lock it, and there's no other pre-orders that can be done for that address whatsoever. And that might, because nobody's going to spend $60 on a P.O. box to get a bunch of these shipped to them. You know, that would be probably what I think would be the easiest way to deal with this. But, I mean, the whole thing is insane. And that's the whole reason why I gave up my pre-order, why a couple of people I talked to, not really anybody that I know is even worried about getting these day one, just because of how much crap this has been. Everybody I've talked to at all the game stores down here, nobody's going to be pre-ordering it. Nobody's going to be getting it day one because of all this fuckery. They're going to wait until these are in stock regularly. They can just walk into a store and pick one up. Me personally, I'm going to wait until a special edition releases because I've done day one releases, and it's really cool to have the console first and get to check everything out and everything like that. But I would rather wait to have a console that I think looks cool, like the Batman one. I'm actually about to trade my PS4 out for the Batman edition one.
Batman one is so cool.
It is. It really is. I have the Gears of War 4 Xbox. I'm going to be trading my Switch out. Oh, no, I actually have one of the special release Switches with the Joy-Cons. My 3DS is the Legend of Zelda. I don't have a base model of any console outside of my PS3, but that's a slim model, so I guess it is a rendition of it, of a later edition. But I prefer that anyways because it's gonna have all the patches already done to it. The bugs are going to be worked out. Most of the titles that I want are most likely going to go on sale at that point, so I won't have to spend $70 on a new game. I'll be able to wait and pay for a used one. And more games will be out for the consoles at that point. And it's just a better investment if you wait, especially with all this going on and how much of a pain in the neck it is to try to grab one. We have consoles we play. I have a PC. I have last gen. I have retro. I have plenty to play. I don't need the newest console. I have so much else to play in the backlog. I have friends to play fighting games and RPGs with and other stuff. Like, what's the point of spending $600 trying to bust my ass to get one of these for everyone else when I can just wait and just get it and enjoy it and not have to stress over it, you know?
Yeah, it certainly has become just one hell of a hassle. And admittedly, over the last few days, I had actually been kind of teeter-tottering on it because we're we've talked a lot about the PlayStation 5 specifically in our examples. This is also happening to the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, just as
in,
fast.
in my opinion, I don't think it's nearly as bad. I'm not sure if it's a stock thing or an interest thing, but the Xbox Series X did last longer before being sold out in comparison to the PS5.
Well, people were also buying Xbox One X's instead too.
Yeah, I was just about to say
758% increase in sales.
Yeah, and that's admittedly more of an issue with Microsoft's marketing, with the names being so similar. I mean, you almost made the same mistake at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
You can fucking hear that shit, but it is what it is, right? So it's become a huge hassle. And I was just kind of looking at the whole thing. I was like, no, I'm just gonna stick with waiting, man, because it's just, for me, it's just not worth it right now.
What if they have a Gotham Knights version comes out? I'm getting that motherfucker. If they have a Suicide Squad or a Gotham Knights one, that one's done. One and done. They have so much free real estate on the side of that console to put artwork on it. I'm going to wait. I don't want to have Kaiba sitting there staring at me.
Josh, what are your thoughts, man?
You get one, or you waiting?
The way I look at it, if the opportunity comes up, I'm probably going to get one. Just, I don't know. I've never actually been fortunate enough, besides the Switch, to get day one console releases. So it's really tempting. But I'm not going to go out of my way for it. Like, I missed both the pre-orders for both of them. I wasn't really looking for it. And I'm not really, like, scalping the internet every second of the day to see if one opens up. But I don't know. If I come across one and I can get it, I probably will. But if not, I don't really have a problem waiting. It's like you said, they're all going to come out on the old gens. All the games are going to be on the old gens for a while. And to be perfectly honest, I have a like $3,000 PC that's not even a year old yet that pretty much all those games are going to be out on anyway, that will run better and play better on it in the first place. So it's whatever. That's honestly why I'm going to get a PlayStation first, is because, which is no knock against Microsoft. I love what they're doing with their PC integration, because I have this PC rig I'd rather play most of my games on, and Xbox or Microsoft is going to put pretty much full game support on that, which is amazing for me, because that's always been a complaint I've had with the console exclusive market. Is I understand the exclusivity of trying to compete with other consoles, but you're not really competing against PC, so might as well give them everything and get free money.
That's why I went with PS5 first as well. Like, I know I was Team Xbox at the beginning, but I'm like, all I gotta do is upgrade my RAM, and I'll be able to play most of the games anyways. I need a new graphics card, but that's besides the point. But I can spend $200 on a new graphics card rather than spending $500 on a new console. You know, and if one of us gets it, it's not like we all don't hang out together anyways, so we can still play the new games that are exclusive to the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. I mean, we're all gonna have access to it.
Honestly, out of the games that were announced, my biggest draws are their Cyberpunk 2077, which, like I said, it's going to be on PC, so that's not really affecting my choice at all. There's Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, which...
That's a no-brainer for you.
Yeah. But the biggest, which that one's not actually coming to PC, so I'm leaning towards PlayStation for that, because everything that I've read says PlayStation's like, it's gonna be the best version or whatever, but we'll see. They censored the first one. Or the original Devil May Cry 5. If they do that again, I'll be pissed. But Final Fantasy 16, that like was the nail in the coffin for me, because I mean, I just have to have Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, that and Ragnarok were mine.
Oh, who cares about that?
Motherfucker.
Sorry. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. Phelan calls himself a Nintendo nut. I'm not really a nut for any company like that, but if you put a game out and it has the name Devil May Cry, Legend of Zelda, or Final Fantasy on it, I'm gonna buy it. I don't care what it is. It's just how it is. So
I'm the same way with Doom, man. I'm the same way with anything Doom and Castlevania. So I hear you.
But I will say, Xbox caught my eye with something that they did a few days ago. That was pretty crazy, and I'm gonna let Phelan take it over.
So, geez, I think it fucking came around at like 6 in the morning. 6 in the morning on a Monday.
Yeah.
They just drop an inconspicuous little tweet on Twitter, and Xbox like, yeah, they walk into the room, pop their collar on their fucking cool ass coat or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, we just bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion. No big deal.
No, they bought Zenimax.
Well, Bethesda and Zenimax being the parent company of Bethesda, essentially the same thing. And it was funny. Like I said, they just dropped it in a tweet. They're like, yo, this happened. And the internet kind of collectively like lost their shit for a couple hours. They're like, wait, what? So, yeah, if somehow you're living under a rock and you hadn't heard, Microsoft, Team Xbox has bought Zenimax Studios and Bethesda Softworks for $7.5 billion. Microsoft, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, their largest buyout yet, topping even the buyout of Rare and Mojang or Minecraft, which is absolutely insane. But of course, with this buyout came just fucking massive questions of like, holy shit, does that mean that Bethesda games are now Xbox exclusive? And that was kind of the question on everybody's mind once this announcement came out. And certainly what I was worried about, or not worried about, but what I was wondering. And I, back before we kind of knew any of this, I even put a tweet out there. I was like, damn, this is a fucking power move right here, So following the acquisition, we kind of now have a few more details on it. Surprisingly, despite how much money Microsoft has spent, Bethesda games are actually not going to be exclusive to Xbox platforms, which is
a little tidbit on that. The ones that are in the works right now that have already been announced will come out on everything they've been promised to come out on. After that, it's going to be free game for Xbox to decide what they're going to do with exclusives, which I honestly think is a very fair thing for them to do. That's a really honest move, and I do appreciate that as a consumer.
I agree with you on that. Like I thought it was super cool that they're honoring the original release windows of upcoming games like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Like full props to them for that. But to sort of get into the nitty gritty on that, interviews from both companies, they have stated that it's not necessarily all Bethesda games being exclusives, but more so done on a case-by-case basis based off of this article that I actually have pulled up right in front of me on the Washington Post. Which, again, is super weird, especially with how much money they spent. But to look at it in a more positive light, if for future releases past the ones that have already got release windows, like the aforementioned Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, so on and so on, for anything that comes out from here on out, if Sony wants that on the PlayStation 5, they have to play ball with Microsoft. Microsoft gets to set the terms and conditions for, okay, well, if you want this game, you got to do this, or you got to do that, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you get the benefit of it coming to Game Pass. More often than not, Sony will probably be looking at way later release dates. And, so like I said, Sony's got to play ball.
Yeah.
If they want these games.
Which, even if they get those games, Sony has to live with the fact now that if they let those games on their consoles, they're directly supporting their biggest competitor, because all the proceeds, or a chunk of the proceeds from those games, It's going straight back to Microsoft. So they're gonna rake in extra money for not even doing exclusives.
Yeah, that's a fair point, man. Marshall, you got any thoughts?
It's actually a very interesting thing because while I am a big Bethesda fan, a big Microsoft fan as well. Bethesda bought id Software a while back, which is the owner of the Doom and the Wolfenstein, the Quake franchises, which you guys know I'm a huge id fanboy. Like, I have something coming in the mail that I can't wait to show you guys. I'm gonna fangirl like all over the place and the item when it comes. Because what?
I already know what it is.
What is it? What is it? See, let me see if you know it. I'll give you $20 if you can guess it.
Is it the limited run Doom collection?
Nope.
No? Okay.
That would have been my guess.
That was my guess.
It's an autographed picture of the original Doom team by George Romero himself.
Wow.
And it brings tears to my eyes even talking about it, but we're not going to go into that. Anyways, the thing is Microsoft and Bethesda have actually, and Zenimax themselves have actually worked together in the past on the original Xbox. If you remember, they originally had some exclusives such as Elder Scrolls, Morrowind, and Doom 3, which were exclusive to the original Xbox. And I think that's where a lot of the fear of the exclusivity is coming from, is because of those previous titles being Xbox exclusives, but then they were later released abroad. Even though Microsoft didn't own those properties at the time, they were finally released abroad. But if you look at what happened, the same scare happened with the exclusivity when they bought Minecraft. And I think Microsoft is going to treat this as they did Minecraft. They're just buying them to rake in that money and give them the funding for these studios, the funding to keep doing what they're doing. Because if you noticed, Microsoft doesn't do what EA does a lot of times. You know, EA will stick their hands in there. Activision, Blizzard, they kind of stick their hands where they shouldn't need to, be like, oh, you need to change this or you need to change this. Microsoft has kind of left their studios alone for the most part, and I think that this is, like Phelan said, a power move, because it would actually hurt them more to keep them as exclusives. It would sell more consoles if people want to play these games, but they're going to make more in the long run if they sell these games, and they have to be put on other platforms. So like you guys were talking about, with if Sony wants on their platform placed, Microsoft's going to make a cut of that pie anyways. So I don't think they're actually going to run exclusives outside of maybe specific DLC, kind of like Rocket League did, or a specific like spin-off titles. I think all the main games like Fallout, I don't think that's going to become an exclusive. I don't think the next Doom's going to be an exclusive. I think they're going to rake in that money as much as they can by releasing their games abroad, especially with all of them now. That means we're almost guaranteed every Bethesda, every Zenimax game is going to have a PC release, which is going to be awesome, because any mod for Fallout is amazing. If anybody's like Fallout and Skyrim, everybody knows the mod scene for that is insane. What you got, Phelan?
So that interesting little tidbit you brought up with Minecraft giving these studios, that extra little kick. That's actually it's actually interesting to bring that up, because obviously any studio picked up by Xbox or Microsoft, obviously they've got the backing of probably the most loaded fucking hardware company the world has ever seen.
Yep.
So having that essentially almost endless type of funding obviously goes a long way. And it's kind of funny to consider it all, because a couple days after they announced the Bethesda buyout, another article came out saying, hey, yeah, Bethesda, the engine, the creation engine that they've been using for several years, that is being used for Elder Scrolls 6, God bless our souls. There was an article that came out. They were like, yeah, this engine is getting its largest overhaul ever since Oblivion released, right after this acquisition. And I was like, okay, Microsoft dollars at work right there.
So my biggest things I was hoping they would do was either completely scrap that engine or at least do this overhaul, because the creation engine, it's been around. Fuck, I think it was around before Morrowind. Actually,
Yep.
Possibly, yeah.
it's a very hodgepodged, hatch-patched. It's a shitty engine, to be honest. Which Bethesda uses it because it's easy to use, and I do agree with them on this. It's super easy to release the dev kit for, so people can mod the fuck out of their games, which is awesome. But there's a reason that with every release, the same glitches in the games show up over and over and over again, because they've never actually refined the engine, worked on it. If you've ever read about the creation engine, it's got a shitload of dead weight in it. It's very redundant. It's
very resource heavy.
It's bloated. Yeah, it's resource heavy. It's bloated. So, like, Starfield, the game we've heard about for years, but never really seen or heard anything about, or not heard anything more about than its name, basically. It was leaked last year that the game had basically gone nowhere because they couldn't figure out how to even make ships fly in the creation engine. That's how screwed. That's how hodgepodged and just not great it is. Which I also want to say, bringing that up, this has brought two of my favorite memes from this acquisition. Is one, there's a meme going around. It's got a whole bunch of different formats, but it's usually a whole bunch of like crying faces or whatever, and it's like Bethesda when Microsoft actually makes them finish their games before they launch them.
Yeah.
That one kills me.
Those are so great.
And the other one that kills me that I can't help it, it's gotten a chuckle out of me every time I've seen it so far, is the Todd Howard's such a fucking amazing salesman that he sold Skyrim to Microsoft for $7.5 billion. Which, I mean, we all know Bethesda has one of the most stacked, actually, catalogs out there. They have the two biggest RPGs in the world, most roundabout RPG games in the world. They got Doom, they have, Dishonored, Bethesda has a lot under their belt. But I love the Skyrim memes still. I can't help it.
Dude, this is like a drop. This is like a mic drop moment. It's like let alone that this is hilarious. I mentioned the Bill, you mentioned memes, and I can't help but go back to think of the screenshot where Bill Gates was actually in a Doom game at one point, which was fucking amazing. And I hope they redo that now that they can. But this is it's like Sony's like, we got Spider-Man, we got Miles Morales. Microsoft's like, bitch, we got Bethesda. It's like this ultimate mic drop moment. It's like, uh-oh. And it's like, I'm like, just the memes from this has been amazing. It's so funny.
I don't know. I'm excited to see what comes from it. I know a lot of people are kind of worried. And some people are like, oh, Microsoft kills and liquidates all the studios they take. But that's not really true. I mean, Microsoft has been releasing games from a lot of the studios they put together. I think people kind of forget that a lot of those studios they bought were indie games, and the indie games are kind of going over their head. And I've seen a lot of people use Rare as an example. They're like, oh, Rare came out, or they bought Rare, but they never gave us a new Banjo-Kazooie or whatever. Or games like that Rare has under their belt. But I don't think a lot of people realize that it was either before or right after Microsoft bought Rare, the teams that made a lot of those games, the core people, they all left and they formed another company. And Microsoft has actually been respecting the creator of Banjo-Kazooie's wishes about not making another one of those games. He says he doesn't want to make another one. He doesn't really want to see another one on the market. He has no interest for it. So instead of making him push out a game he doesn't really want to make, Microsoft's been having them work on other projects like Sea of Thieves, which had a really patchy launch, but it's actually evolved into a really good and actually very well profitable game. People love that game now. I have tons of friends that love to hop on Sea of Thieves and troll around and whatnot. So I'm not worried about Microsoft, EA digging their hands in and screwing up Bethesda. I think it's probably going to be mostly good things that come out of this.
I agree.
Yeah, they've definitely been doing a really good job trying to get rid of that notion of, oh, Xbox doesn't have games, doesn't have exclusives, which admittedly in comparison to their two competitors being Nintendo and Sony, they do still look a little weaker, but everything they've been doing up to the launch of the Series X has me looking very optimistic for Xbox. Like for the first time in a long time, I am genuinely considering the Xbox brand over the PlayStation, which is something I've not really felt in a while. Because they, like I said, we've got a lot of the games coming out. Halo Infinite, obviously being a big one, and a lot of other games from those studios you mentioned. If we want to go back to Rare, they're developing Everwild, which looks, to me, looks absolutely fantastic, based off what we saw at that Xbox event months ago. But something like this is always going to have people in a tizzy. I remember going to the subtweets of Xbox's announcement for it, and seeing your typical PlayStation fanboy just going, "Well, you can't do that. This is bullshit. People at PlayStation love those games." I was like, "Excuse me."
Because those are the exact same people that would brag about Xbox not having the exclusives or the library or whatnot.
100%.
I think what we're seeing here with Xbox is, I think for the last, probably started about 2 years ago and going on, with the exception or the start of Game Pass and whatnot, is Xbox gave up on current gen. They realized they weren't catching up on this gen, and they've been slowly setting the footwork and starting the puzzle to just come out swinging next gen. And I think getting Bethesda here was one of the biggest drops in the puzzle piece we've seen, and what we really, as a forewarning of what we have to look forward to from what Xbox is probably going to start announcing probably next year. It's going to be crazy, I feel like.
Yeah, it definitely leaves a lot of room for excitement. And again, we had the news come out that it's a case-by-case basis. Not all of these games are necessarily going to be exclusives. So, again, going back to Microsoft's strategy of having a more broad surface for their games to be played. I mean, like you said, there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. I see them more of taking Bethesda and probably getting them to work on some new IPs. Those will be exclusives. I think most of the existing ones, they're still going to be around for everything. But I could see them getting to work on Bethesda to making some exclusive IPs for them, because you slap Bethesda's name on a game, even with the bad rap they've kind of developed for themselves the last year or two, it's going to sell.
It's going to sell gangbusters.
Because people know what Bethesda is, and even though it might be glitchy games or whatnot, for the most part you're in for a really good experience.
Yeah, it's Bethesda's Microsoft knows what kind of work Bethesda can do, and they can crank out games pretty decently quick. They're one of the quicker game studios for a big, for releasing the games of the size they do, and they take their time, but they're able to work a little bit faster. They're going to have access to a bigger team now. The cool thing I really think that Microsoft's aiming to do, and what I've noticed is, if you look at how much they're putting on Game Pass, I've seen comments and there were comments about Game Pass, too many games coming to Game Pass and stuff like that. My thought is Microsoft, even from the very beginning with the Xbox, is they want gamers to play games. They want, they even made a tweet about it earlier about streamlining their store, because it's the store is much easier to access now, because let's face it, we're all here to play a game, and especially when Phil Spencer took over and everything like that, it became very gamer centric, where I think what they're really wanting to do is, they don't care how you play the game. They just want you to enjoy it in any which way that you can, which is why now it's on mobile, it's on PC. They're trying for cross-platform with PlayStation. There's been talks about them working with Nintendo on things, and there's a rumor about them buying Sega potentially, which, would make a little more sense, considering Phantasy Star Universe is only on Nintendo and Xbox consoles. And then there was the talk about Nintendo and Microsoft already, so who knows what that could hold. That's just a rumor, but I think this is a great direction, because Microsoft genuinely cares about gamers. They actually want people to just play and enjoy, and they're giving so many people the opportunity to enjoy their games. And now with them owning those studios, more people are going to be able to play those on Game Pass and be able to experience those that maybe not be able to afford a console. They can play it on mobile or however. You're going to be able to play more of those games like Doom and Fallout and Elder Scrolls no matter where you're at. And I think that was awesome because, just more players, more games, more happiness, better industry. Simple as that.
If they just slap the entire Elder Scrolls anthology on Game Pass, it'll be amazing. I mean, some of the older games, that shit is antiquated as fuck, but they give people the chance to, especially console people, if they can figure out how to get like Arena and whatnot to work on console.
That would be cool.
I feel like that'd be awesome to let a lot of people see where the route starts. Because Elder Scrolls, I mean, it's a giant now, but that's because of Skyrim, if we're being honest here. Skyrim's what blew it up. It had a good following with Oblivion. It had a niche but good following with Morrowind. And then it was super niche before that. But the Elder Scrolls series has blown up to, in my opinion, it's like, I mean, I'm not going to say the best, but it's the #1 RPG in the world. Like, if you ask someone, like, hey, I'm getting into games, I really like RPG, fantasy stuff, what should I play? They're going to slap Skyrim in your lap. And then after that, they're going to be like, all right, now go play Oblivion or Morrowind because they're better.
Yeah, it's like,
you're going to be like, what?
I mean,
yeah, I remember several times working at Game Exchange, you'd be like, hey man, I'm looking for something like fantasy, something like Warriors or Magic or something. But I also like really open world type games. And I was like, I got you. We have like 1 million copies. It's like $3, and it's easily one of my favorite games. Well, not like of all time, but it's a really great game. And I played the ever living shit out of it. I'm telling you, man, this game is good. It's fucking $3. Buy it. Here's Skyrim. So, I mean, it's thing. It hits home with a lot of people.
It does. I mean, if okay, you guys both know my wife. She's very straightforward. Doesn't have a lot of hobbies. She's kind of quiet. She plays Minecraft and Skyrim. That's it. She's a casual gamer, and along with a lot of other people, like Skyrim is what gets a lot of people into video games itself. Like, they put the damn thing on a refrigerator. I mean, are you like, Skyrim is a household name. Skyrim is almost as iconic as Mario. It's in that same, maybe not to that level, but it's like, if you say video games, you're either thinking Mario or Skyrim.
If you say an RPG game, Skyrim's probably going to be what comes to that person's mind
easily,
if they've only touched their toes in the genre. But I think we've talked about all that enough. We want to start wrapping this up.
Oh man, good topics this time. But yeah, I guess we'll end up wrapping it up tonight. Had actually pretty good, even though we were down a person. So we'll wrap things up by letting
down a topic.
Down a person, down a topic.
We filled the time.
We sure did.
But
this is crazy shit in Magic, bro. Check that out. Was not expecting that tangent, like when we were talking about our weeks, for us to like talk about Magic for like 15 minutes. Not that I'm against it personally. I thought it was cool, but I was not expecting that tangent right there.
Nah, I'm completely okay with it. I was just enjoying sitting back here. You got I love Magic. I just can't invest in it as much as I used to right now. It'll happen though. It'll definitely happen. My interest is still there, so I had no problem listening to you guys talk about it.
Card games are one of the biggest holes in your life you can fall down. If you're not into a card game, you don't understand it. If you take a passing interest in a card game, before you fucking know it, you're 10 feet in the hole, you have 4 or 5 decks, and you're just constantly thinking about building more, what you could try out.
You've got like sleeves and deck boxes just laying around.
Your whole kitchen table is nothing but cards.
I got cards all over my bed at home right now. I got that big old box of yeah, I had to stop. I had to, because there's no way I was going to be able to keep cards up here. No way. Not with all the crap I got up here already.
But I've got like four or 5 stacks of cards on my desk right now. But yeah, anyway,
let's wrap things up by talking about.
I'm gonna wrap things up.
Didn't you wrap things up?
I'm gonna. Can I do it?
Do it.
After you wrap it up, but go ahead.
All right, wrap it up. Then he'll wrap it up, and you put a nice little bow on it. Wrap it up some more.
No, I'm going in raw at the end.
Listen, listen. I'm gonna make the promise right here. Next week for our topics, if anyone's topic is PlayStation or Xbox centric, I'm gonna come over to your house and I'm gonna fucking stab you.
Oh, yeah.
If I have to drive down to Georgia to stab you, I'm gonna stab you. If I have to drive to Dom's college to stab him, I'm gonna go there to stab him.
So I was actually going to make that note after we signed off the podcast. I was like, okay, next week, please, for the love of God, nothing about Xbox and PS5. I'm so sick of it.
Next month's October. I already got my topic pick for next month or next week. So, or not next week, but next podcast. I already have my topic.
About your fucking Skimpy Trucker Halloween costume, Marshall.
Skimpy Trucker was last year. This one's a milkmaid.
Nobody asked for an encore, motherfucker.
This year's a milkmaid. Leave me alone.
All right, but everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to this is episode 4 of the Tilt Mavericks podcast.
What are we doing? What do we have planned coming up?
I got something planned. I got a little T-shirt in the works.
Ooh!
I'm gonna tease you guys right now. I don't know
for the Tilt Mavericks store.
Who knows? We'll see where it goes.
Ooh.
I just posted that in there. Why don't y'all take a little look?
What?
My Airbnbs continue to haunt me.
What is that? Okay, these guys are gonna have some explain to do once we end this.
All right. Well, all right. Is it? Oh man.
Well, I can't show a picture to anyone listening on iTunes, so if you show us in the store, we'll mention it.
So allow me to describe it, and I guess is it at all possible we could throw this up like on the YouTube version of this? I guess
we could throw it up on YouTube and Twitter.
Hold on a second.
Okay, all right.
So let me do this. Hold on. I will add it to the I'll add it to the thing. Hold on.
All right. Well, while he's doing that, for all of our listeners at home, at home, I now have to describe this. So when I started YouTube, like 10 years ago ish, one of the first things I did was make Sonic AMVs because I'm that cringy motherfucker. So one year I got really lazy, and I was like, "Hey, it's October. Fuck it. I'll try to do a holiday-themed AMV. Why not? It'll be fun. I've never tried this before." But I was really fucking lazy and really fucking tired that night. So all I did was I took the intro to Sonic CD. I put like 3 different filters on it to give it this weird orange tone, which admittedly I think looks kind of cool. Don't at me. And then I set that intro with those filters to the 8-bit classic Castlevania tune, Bloody Tears. Yes, the 8-bit version. I didn't even go after some cool remix or rematch. It's straight up the 8-bit version from Castlevania 2. My good old buddy pal Josh over here found like a still from that AMV, like a pick, like picked one of the frames.
Hey, I cropped that shit.
He did. And he threw that shit on. You didn't even pick anything classy like a t-shirt or a hoodie. You put it on a fucking sweater.
I like sweaters.
You okay, well,
this AMV, I tell Phelan this all the time. I don't think he actually believes me.
I don't believe you.
It is legitimately, unironically, my favorite thing Phelan has ever done. Bloody Tear. Whenever I look at Phelan, and he can attest to this because it happens all the time. I look at Phelan and I'll just start humming Bloody Tears.
He does do that. I just like he'll go to like his room to go grab something real good. I don't know, here's oh you
my God.
Son of a bitch. All right, well now we have to do this. Also, I don't think. Oh no! Okay, so it's those are not up on my channel anymore. So don't go look for them.
Listen, I got the link. Anybody who wants to see this, hit me up.
Yes, he does. I did make it unlisted just for him, and he has the link. That'll be the only way you're allowed to view this, because I'm not making that public again. That cringy pass is gone.
It's not. It's not. Listen, for 1,000 subscribers, Phelan will remake
I
Bloody
did not
Tears.
say this.
He will
in any
remake
way.
the Bloody Tears
I will
OMV.
totally fucking do this. Give us 1,000 subs.
If it ever happens, if it takes
If it no, if
6 years,
legitimately, if we ever get 1,000 subscribers on the Tilt Mavericks YouTube page, you have this in writing, not in writing, on the record, on the tape recorder. If we get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will do a new Bloody Tears AMV starring Sonic.
if 6 years, and I'm at the hospital supporting Phelan for the birth of his first child, and that's when Tilt Mavericks hits 1,000 views. Oh no! And he better be ready, because I'm gonna have the laptop on me.
See,
you're gonna have to put little Timmy down and get to work.
I'm gonna have to fucking figure out like what filters those are, because I did that on like Windows Movie Maker, and again, this was like 10 years ago. That was like an old ass version of Movie Maker.
How about this? If we sell 100 of these shirts, he'll do it for you live.
Live? What does that even mean?
You have to stream you making them.
No, you have to dress up as Sonic and redo the whole intro to Ape It 2.
We recreate the entire AMV live.
The entire AMV live.
I'm not agreeing to that one.
100 shirts sold.
We've seen the perfect Sonic cosplay costume for it already.
I am not
The
agreeing to
cheapest
this.
Halloween costumes we can get a hold
That's
of.
100 shirts sold. 100 shirts sold. Those shirts sell for, if you catch them on sale, they're $13. Otherwise, they're $19.99, and 100 of those sell.
I'm not agreeing to this.
He's gonna agree to it. We just gotta.
You've been outmajoritied. Dom said yes. He sent it to my head. So
He doesn't even have to be here. I already know he's all on board for this. I'm not agreeing to this.
but we're gonna wrap it up there. I actually had that plotted from about 5 minutes into the podcast, and I really just wanted to slap that at the end. The reason I haven't used our talking system the entire podcast is because that's been sitting there in my Discord waiting to upload because I needed to be ready for the perfect moment.
What a fucking legend.
Oh no!
All right, well, if
now that I got that idea in my head, that everyone will already know what it is. What has everybody got going on this week? Or going on? What is it? Does anybody have anything coming up that they want to mention?
So I've been hitting the editing software pretty hard lately. I've been working on I'm calling it a personal project. I've been working on a video review for Remember Me for I think it's going on like 2 years now. I've been working on this.
Since I met you.
Yeah, basically. Well, no, a little bit after, probably like a year after. Regardless, I've been working on that, and normally I'd have scrapped this idea, but this would have been like these several, I don't even know how many reviews in a row I would have scrapped if I did. So I decided, fuck it. I don't care if it's been 2 years. I'm going to keep going. And I'm finally on the final phase, which is editing. And I showed you guys what I've got so far before we started. It's coming along. Still going to be a ways away out, but it is coming along. I'm in the final phase of that. And I'm really excited to debut that and hopefully start a series out of it. We'll see what happens.
It looks good.
Other than that, I've got, that Super Paper Mario live stream series I'm still doing. I'm actually going to be uploading part 2. Well, by the time y'all are listening to this, part 2 actually should be uploaded, hopefully. So if you missed the live stream, you could definitely go check that out on my YouTube channel, featuring good old Smiling Anarchy over there. Josh, do you have anything coming up this week?
No, nothing really coming up. I have ideas for stuff that I'd like to do. It's mostly group stuff that I'd like to get together, but I'm not really
Some of that good old TM content coming up. Keep it in the works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to get together, the 4 of us, if we could find some other people. I feel like it'd be fun to do some like Among Us streams because that's going right now, and that's a fun game to play around with people. I'd just like to do some game nights. We could do, Magic Online nights. We could do Pokemon Online nights. We could try to dig into, like, y'all ever heard of Tabletop Simulator?
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes.
We could try to dig into that. We could do some cool stuff with that. I mean, we have the stuff we want to do with, like, Halo. But me personally, nothing too much besides I might get on sporadically, stream me playing some Magic, because that's pretty much all I do right now.
Your matches get pretty intense though. Like the last one we had was pretty freaking pretty insane.
Oh yeah.
So, but no, that's gonna be cool. I guess it's my turn. Up on my channel, Pixel Massacre is gonna be having an hour-long pickup video talking about all the crap I've acquired.
And it's not a 4-hour one where we have to stop every 30 minutes to reset the camera.
We need to re-record that. I'm so mad that my file's corrupted on that. That was an epic motherfucker. But we need to redo that. Also, gonna probably be starting out just some of my videos talking about some current events and some franchise, maybe a couple top fives. Since we do these podcasts bi-weekly, I will have been and gone back home, so I'll get to see these two knuckleheads for a little bit, and we can workshop some stuff for the channel in terms of actual content, brainstorm ideas, and see what the hell monster Josh has hiding in that box of his that I'm looking forward to, but I'm not looking forward to facing, and then getting my ass slapped by Phelan in Pokemon.
Hi, that's me.
Get slapped at Pokemon by me too, bitch.
Yeah, no, he's got the best bag.
Oh god damn it.
Y'all are fucked if the ninjas get here early. They're not supposed to be here till October 1st. But just wait.
Well, I'm planning on. Well, actually, I'm gonna be coming down. It's gonna be the 28th, and I'll be there for a couple days just to drop some shit off and pick some stuff up. So, because I gotta bring my PS3 back up here for videos. Yeah, just some content over there, as well as hopefully maybe get some stuff up for the actual group stuff within the end of the week, hopefully leading into October. So but yeah, that's about it for that's gonna wrap us up today, guys. Phelan, how do they get a hold of us?
Well, if you would like to talk about or contact us and talk about everything we talked about on episode 4 of the Tilt Mavericks podcast, you can reach out to us on twitter.com it's at Tilt Mavericks, right? Nothing special.
I don't think
I should probably have this pulled up.
No, it's at Tilt Mavericks.
Yeah, so reach us at Tilt Mavericks on twitter.com. Become part of the conversation. We'd love to keep the conversation going with you guys on Twitter or on our YouTube page if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the comments section on SoundCloud. SoundCloud has a comment section, right?
Yes.
I listen to this on Spotify, can you tell? Otherwise, you can find me on YouTube, Emerald_Element. You can find me on Twitch, Emerald_Element. Join those Super Paper Mario live streams. And you can also find me on Twitter at Emerald_Element. That's all I got.
Josh?
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, all that at Smiling Anarchy. And Twitch, it's just Smiling Anarchy. But that's about all I got. Besides, one day I promise we'll get better about wrapping up these podcasts when we say we are.
We do it with starting and ending them. It's a problem. I've had the same problem with anything that we've worked on. It's hilarious. But if you guys want to get a hold of me, I am on Twitter at Sir Flynn and the number 1, Sir Flynn 1, and on YouTube as the Pixel Massacre. 3 different words. You'll find a little picture of a little pixelated skull holding a controller, which I want to make that a t-shirt. Looks badass. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you in the next episode. Today we are going to be talking about Magic's Zendikar Rising, brand new set in the series. Then we're going to be talking about
Then we'll be talking about